Profit First as a Practice Area with Christopher Anderson, episode 41. Are you ready to make your law firm a profit-generating machine that will free up your time and skyrocket your impact? With more than 2 decades of business growth experience and having proven that you can be successful while prioritizing your family and your impact, introducing the Profit with Law podcast. I am your host, the creator of the Firm Differentiator 10X Effect, Moshe Amsel. Hello and welcome to another episode of Profit with Law. I am your host, Moshe Amsel. This is a bonus episode with another great interview. In a couple of previous episodes, I believe it was 16 and 18, I introduced the idea of profit first. Now, you may be aware or realize that I am a profit first professional. And what that means is that I help businesses incorporate profit first into their business. And I specifically help lawyers with implementing profit first in their law practice. My guest today is Christopher Anderson. And right at the beginning of the interview, you will see that I clear up a question that you may be asking yourself. Because Christopher has a company called Profit First for Lawyers. Now, we do not compete with each other, and it'll become clear to you when Christopher shares with you exactly what Profit First for Lawyers is. But if you have a target market that is business owners, so that means you could be in estate planning attorney, for example, and a lot of estate planning clients have their own business because business ownership, entrepreneurship, I believe, is one of the quickest, fastest, and easiest ways to grow wealth. Well, it's not easy, but definitely it can short-circuit the process. Then your clientele would potentially be in need of Profit First. And Christopher lays out exactly how this all would work and how you can add Profit First as a practice area to your firm. So I think this is great for a lot of you. There's definitely going to be some of you that this is not pertinent to, but still it's a good interview and you might want to stick around and listen to it. Let me just give you the official bio. Christopher is a lawyer, entrepreneur, and national thought leader on topics of law firm, business success, practice management, systems, and staffing. He has helped thousands of lawyers move toward more success for their firms, their families, and their clients. And I will add here that I know Christopher is the host of another podcast called The Unbillable Hour. It's a great show. It releases once a month. If you haven't checked it out, please do. I love promoting my guests here, and I love sharing how, what they have available. So there's a lot of good podcasts out there. Christopher's is one of them. So without further ado, I'm going to cue up that interview for you and let you listen in on our conversation. And actually, before I jump into that, real quick little promo. I mentioned it in our last episode. I am doing a 90-day group coaching program for anybody who's looking to get really clear on the direction of their firm, goals for 2020, and how to create a plan on how to implement that and really get focused and direction on the upcoming year. It's going to be, when I offer it to the public the beginning of 2020, it's going to be $5,800 for that 90-day transformation. And because this is the first time that I am doing it in a group setting, I am offering it at 50% off. So if you're interested, there's no sales page to go to. There's no way that you can get more information. You have to just send me an email, let me know that you're interested, and we will schedule some time to learn a little bit more about you and figure out if you're a good fit. So if you're interested, just send an email to mamsel@dreambuilderfinancial.com, mamsel@dreambuilderfinancial.com. We'll also link that up in the show notes. So without further ado, here is Christopher and myself on our conversation. Christopher, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure. And yeah, I love talking about that. because it's really important as to why. I think embedded in the answer as to why you would have me on your show is something really important that it's important for people to understand and become familiar with, because at the end of the day, we love the Profit First professionals. My business is right now is built to be dependent on Profit First professionals. Could I imagine a world where I have to build a whole network of accountants and bookkeepers who know this stuff? Yeah, but now I don't have to, because you guys exist. So I think the question was, what do we exist to do? There's Profit First for e-commerce, there's Profit First for contractors, and we're very different than the other Profit First for groups, in that what we're doing is not helping lawyers implement Profit First in their business. That is not the core of our business. Now, when lawyers are part of us, we require that they be Profit First compliant, that they are implementing Profit First in their business. But the core of what we do is we actually help them to create a Profit First practice as a new practice area in their business. So what they do is, we're right now onboarding mostly lawyers who have business owners as clients. My initial thought actually was that I would have business lawyers, because business lawyers most obviously have business owners as clients. But what I found, and what's the neat thing in starting a business, is you're always surprised by things. And I didn't expect this one. But what I found was, as I started it, I kept getting calls. I kept getting inquiries from non-business lawyers, primarily family lawyers and estate planning lawyers. And they were basically saying, why do you keep saying just business lawyers? We want to be part of this. And my final word to them was, listen, this business was started in March of 2019. One of the secrets to growing a business is picking your niche and running with it. And I picked business lawyers because of the easiest place to find people who had business owners as clients. I said, but here's the deal. If you can tell me, you sell me on why you should be doing this, you're in. And so the ones that were successful in doing that basically said, listen, I've got business owners as clients who are getting into family problems, who are having a hard time getting their estate together. And if they would just run their businesses more profitably, if they would just follow these principles, then they would be more successful clients for me. So I want to help them do this. And I was like, okay, sold. So what we do is we help these lawyers to help their clients implement Profit First by being the captain of a team of profit professionals. So we include a Profit First accountant and a Profit First bookkeeper at a minimum. We also introduce, as a part of the team, a Profit First friendly banker to work with the client. And the lawyer's job is to be the counselor at law, to have a 360-degree view around the business that involves making sure they're compliant with Profit First, for sure, by getting reports from Profit First professionals saying, yep, they did what they're supposed to do. They've allocated what they're supposed to allocate. They've distributed what they're supposed to distribute. They're on course, or they're not on course. And your job on this team is to crack the whip. That's what you're supposed to be doing for the clients. And so when they're on course, that's great. When they're not on course, the lawyer will help to escalate the team to take action. And what the lawyer's then doing is having quarterly meetings and annual meetings to, first of all, establish why this business is in business in the first place. Why does this business owner have this business? What are they trying to accomplish? What's the business supposed to do for them? 2, what the plan is to get to that goal once the goal has been clearly established. And then 3, to be monitoring their progress towards that goal using Profit First as a tool, not necessarily the only tool, to get there. And then they have quarterly, regardless on track or off track, at least every quarter, an update meeting to see where they are, to see if their goals have changed, and to get really, really deep with their clients. What does this do? First of all, I think this helps add a wonderful amount of energy to the relationship between the professional and the client. It removes friction. Like when I've been to ProfitCon, which I'm going to miss this year, but I've been to a couple of them. One of the biggest complaints I heard from Profit First professionals was compliance, keeping their clients on track, keeping their clients continuing to implement all of Profit First and not just sort of like the half-assed Profit First, like, oh, I put some profit away when I can. So to help with that compliance, and most of all, to keep moving these businesses from their risk perspective, from the opportunity perspective, from the legal perspective, from all the things that the lawyer can do around the business, keep the business moving forward, which makes them a better client for everybody. But so the main point is the main thrust is to give lawyers who have business owners as clients a brand new practice area, and to help them reestablish themselves as a trusted advisor to their client. That was a really long answer.
But. Right. And I think that going along the trusted advisor route, which is a term that we're using a lot in the accounting industry, it also changes the dynamic of the relationship of the attorney with the client, where right now the attorney might be in the position of risk aversion, protection, and now you're becoming interested in the success of your client's business. That
yes,
although you always probably were, you didn't have a way of telling the client that was the case, and now you're intimately involved in talking to them about their future growth, which is not really part of what you're doing when you're protecting their risks and keeping,
right,
keeping them on track with where they need to be.
One thing that's happened, and with lawyers, but I think it's happened with accountants and bookkeepers too, is over the years, we've moved away from what we're talking about. We've become transactional. We have begun to see ourselves as problem solvers and opportunity seizers, but on a case-by-case basis. So client comes, hey, lawyer, I've got a problem. Great. I may even have you on retainer, but you're coming to me, I've got a problem. Great. We're going to solve that. Was it solved to your liking? Fantastic. Let me know when you've got another. Or, I've got an opportunity. I want to do this merger and acquisition. I want to do great. That's great. Let's help you do that. And then let me know when you've got another. I've had problems with my own accountants where, they see themselves as helping me be compliant with tax laws. So they go, every month, every quarter, every year, we go through a certain litany of things to make sure I'm compliant. But I know where one of the problems is because, my business is growing well year over year. And the lack of foresight to avoid I just can't stand this call anymore where I get the call like, I've got some good news and some bad news. The good news is you had a really great year. The bad news, I'm going to need $60,000, $80,000, $120,000 by April 15th or March 15th, whatever the date might be, because we got a big tax bill to pay. That if they were being a true trusted advisor, they would have seen that coming, right? Because they would have been talking to me about the business. They would have been talking to me about sales. They would have been talking to me about conversion rates. They'd have been talking to me about product introductions. They would have been talking to me about my hires, like all this stuff that they're not. And we're trying to bring that back. In fact, I don't know, a lot of people don't even know this anymore, which is a shame. It's our fault. But we used to be called attorneys and counselors at law. And now we're just called lawyers or attorneys. But that counselors at law, we're supposed to be a counselor. We're supposed to know about you. We should know who your kids are. We should know what's driving you. We should know what's coming in the business. And to the extent that we don't, that's on us, and that's what we're looking to change.
Yeah, and another thing is, I could tell you from my own experience as a Profit First professional is that as an accountant, the Profit First professional designation differentiated me in a big way from other accountants out there.
Yeah,
because people who have read the book, people who have some inkling as to what the benefits are of profit first, now look at me and say, "Oh, you get it. You're not one of those who, is resistant to it. You understand it. I can talk to you." It kind of opens up another place for dialogue, another room for discussion where you can be looked at in the light of somebody that can help me in a way that you weren't able to otherwise.
Yeah, and I think that's key. That's why when the profit first lawyers, profit first certified lawyers, build a team, they only build a team with profit first professionals. If the client has a bookkeeper and they don't want to get rid of the bookkeeper, that bookkeeper will be allowed on the team, but they have to at least basically raise their hand, say, "I've read profit first, and I will do whatever we're going to do." But if we add someone to their team, so we don't force all business owners to fire who they're currently working with. But if we're going to add someone to that team, it's got to be a profit first professional, because, like you just said, it shortcuts the conversation. Now we can skip over a whole lot of stuff because we're on the same page, and we can rely on you. Because the one thing that Profit First for Lawyers is not doing, we are not turning lawyers. Listen, lawyers are lawyers because they didn't want to learn math, right? Now, there's some lawyers like me. I was an astrophysics major before I became a lawyer. Some of us are okay with math, but for the most part, if you have to make generalizations, a lot of lawyers are not that great with numbers. You work with lawyers. You help lawyers implement profit first as part of your business, and that when they've come to you, they haven't always really had a tight grasp of their cash flow, of their numbers, and we're not trying to.
They usually even have a problem understanding the difference between positive and negative numbers.
Yeah. and we're not trying to change that. Listen, I'm not into the lifting that boulder. So that's why it's so important that they work with a team, and that team already be schooled in the ways of profit first.
So, Christopher, I'm going to put myself in my listener's shoe. Okay, so you've done a good job in telling me why profit first for lawyers, having that designation, adding that to as a practice area to my firm might be a good idea. What does that look like financially for me, and what does it look like financially for my clients? So in other words, what can I be charging to be the profit first epicenter for my clients? And are my clients also paying these other professionals that I'm introducing into their lives, or am I kind of like the funnel where they're paying me for everything, and then I'm outsourcing all of this other work?
Right. So I'm sorry. So I just want to be clear who I'm answering this question for.
I'm asking as the attorney.
The lawyer. Mm-hmm. Great. So no, you're not the funnel. Listen, if you're an attorney with business owners as clients, I hope to God that they already have an accountant and a bookkeeper. I know, because I know lawyers really well, that some of them think they're doing their own books. And I know that that's generally a bad idea. If only, and I think it's really important to qualify this, because they could be good bookkeepers. I happen to be a really good bookkeeper. I do not keep my own books, because when push comes to shove, I have a hard time being objective about my own numbers. Look at what I want to look at and I don't want to look at, either consciously or subconsciously, and I will allow myself to be taken by surprise, or to look, to have confirmation bias on my numbers. So the same goes, I'm sure, for small business owners. So they've already got a bookkeeper, they've already got an accountant, so they're already paying for these services. Now, whether they have got a good accountant or not, whether they've got a good bookkeeper or not, whether they need to replace them with someone who understands profit first, whole separate conversation, and that's a conversation that's individual, one by one. But they're already paying for those services, so they're going to continue to pay for those services. And I don't think that cost generally goes up a whole lot, if at all, for them. So what they're doing is, what the lawyer is charging, our recommended charge for the lawyer is $500 a month, so $6,000 a year. And what the lawyer does to bring many, many multiple times value of that, we're looking for the lawyer to bring $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 of value to the client, is a number of things. But of course, that also means that the lawyer's got to be selective. You can't work with a business that's got $50,000 in revenues, because there's no way you can bring that much value to them. And quite honestly, they don't need a team. They need one good person, and they probably don't need a lawyer at that point in time. But so a business that's making sufficient revenues, that's growing sufficiently, that's got things going on, they're negotiating leases, they've got intellectual property, they've got employment issues going on, they've got a lot of other things where they really should have a lawyer involved in their business. And they really should have a bookkeeper involved in their business. And they really should have an accountant involved in their business. The lawyer should be able to bring that kind of value to them. So what does the lawyer do for the business? The lawyer, it starts out with, I think I alluded to this, but I'll go a little bit more in detail. It starts out with getting super clear through a program that I've developed that we license to the lawyers that work with us, that goes through a long form interview. It's not a script, but it's a long form interview to get into all the key areas that you need to know about the business, starting with what in the world is this business supposed to do for the owner? A question that a lot of business owners haven't answered in a really long time, if ever, about exactly how much money is it supposed to provide for them to take home, for them to live the life that they want to live. I mean, we're business owners. We get to define this, right? We don't have a job and have to beg for a paycheck. We get to define what the business is supposed to do for us. Have they done that? 2, do they get to know the name of their kids while they're doing that? Do their kids recognize them when they come home? How much time do they need to be putting into the business in order to have that life, in order to have the success that they say they want to have? And then 3, you know what? Most people that go into business want the business to stand for something. What is that? What are you trying to accomplish? Whether big or small, it doesn't matter. What are you trying to accomplish? You're trying to be the best at something. You're trying to be the biggest at something. You're trying to help people in some way. What is that? We got to make sure the business is doing that. So the lawyer, first of all, gets really clear in their understanding of that, mostly so that the client gets really clear in their understanding of that. Once that's done, the second thing the lawyer needs to do is to make sure that the business owner has a plan, a business plan, a risk plan, a compliance plan, a financial plan, just a plan around 7 key parts of the business that shows how the business is going to achieve these things for the lawyer for the business owner over the next year. And then the third thing is accountability. And this is where they work hand in glove with the accountant and the bookkeeper to make sure that we've got strong accountability month by month, quarter by quarter with the business. I'm a pilot. A lot of people don't know that about me, but I'm a pilot. I own a little teeny plane. And no, it's a Mooney actually. And I like to fly. And when I fly, I go places, right? I fly to go places. One of the reasons I fly is my mom lives 500 miles away. I've got a 12-year-old. She likes to see her grandson. He likes to see his Oma. And quite honestly, 500 miles is too long for a weekend road trip. And so if without the plane, we'd probably see each other 2-3 times a year. With the plane, every month or so. But when we go...
Is the Mooney the one with the tail in the back that goes like that?
It has the appearance of that. It's really funny. Like when I first saw it, I was like, that plane looks funny. But what it is actually is that the tail is straight up. But because most planes have the tail, I'm trying to figure out how it looks on video, backward or leaning back, as if it was kind of flying in the wind. The fact that it's straight up makes it appear as if it's actually leaning forward, but it's not. But yeah, it has that look. The wings too look like they're swept forward. But the point of talking about airplanes is the thing that most people don't understand is that an airplane on the way to its destination, a spaceship on the way to the moon or to Mars, is never on course, ever, right? You can't be on course. You allow it to get slightly off course, and by checking every so often, you go, oh, we're quarter mile to the right, we'll adjust left. Oh, we're a quarter mile to the left, we'll adjust right. And you're constantly adjusting course. And when you check frequently enough, it looks more or less like a straight line. Well, by keeping tabs through the bookkeeper, through the accountant, with the business owner on the business frequently enough, we can keep them on course. And when there needs to be an adjustment, a small adjustment, we make a small adjustment. When there needs to be a big adjustment, we have an intervention. And then quarterly, what we do is we make sure that the destination is still the destination, and we have another deep dive phone call with the business owner. That deep dive phone call is designed to illuminate other issues and opportunities in the business that will help that business go faster, get there sooner, and stay on track. By doing all of this every quarter, first of all, the visioning in the beginning, or the revisioning of their business in the beginning, then every quarter deep dives to make sure we're headed in the right direction. Every month, checking on their progress on their profit first priorities and their other financial priorities. We help to keep the business on course and help them avoid costly diversions where it is really, really easy to make the investment of the $500 a month be worth many, many times that value to the business.
So fascinating. So is this an easy sell?
No, it's not. And it's much easier if they've read the book. They've read Mike McCalloch's book, Profit First. And when Profit First for Lawyers comes out later this year, at the beginning of next year, it'll be even easier if they've read the book. Truth is, most of them haven't read the book. And so this sale is an education sale, which is my favorite kind of sale, in that, the pain is easy, right? The business owners, just like lawyers, they all have the same pain. They're working harder, their revenues might be up, and they're coming home to a spouse, to children, who are looking at them like, what the hell are you doing? You're putting your bust, most business owners, like we don't recommend working with lazy business owners, right? Most business owners are busting their butt harder every year without seeing more results. And it's because they don't understand why. And they think like there's a lot of story out there. Like that's just the way it is. Being an entrepreneur means working 60-hour weeks. No, it doesn't. It doesn't have to. The fact that it does for many people means that what they're doing is they're replacing efficiency. They're replacing cash flow management. They're replacing being intentional with securing their profits and ensuring their compensation with work, right? Profits are down. What do? Well, just work harder. Compensation, there's not enough money to pay myself a paycheck. Well, we'll just work harder. You know what? We'll let go of the receptionist. We'll let go of the bookkeeper. We'll let go of this person or that person. I'll do that. I'll do that job. And that way we'll bring home what we need to bring. So they understand that pain. They just don't see a path to the solution. So it's an educational sale saying, you know what, there is a different way. And the cool thing is, the way we can start this is you don't actually have to change anything about the business. We're just going to change what order we do things in. And then we can slowly turn the knob, understand the path that profit provides for them. And when they understand that they can have people like you, people like my attorneys in their corner, lighting the way, a way that is now well trodden, right? This isn't experimental. This isn't some sort of pie in the sky. This isn't some wacky theory of how to change it. This has been years and years and years. And quite honestly, the theory, not to take anything away from Mike, and I think he would be in agreement with this. Like this thinking comes from your grandma's envelope system that she used to make sure that there were clothes on the kids and food on the table and rent in the rent box, because those were the priorities. And then, when we establish the business priorities, it's the same thing. But it's the discipline of implementing it and having some people to hold you accountable that makes all the difference. So yeah, you know what? That's a ton of education, which is why, not for nothing, love spending an hour with you, but that's why I do it, right? Because we got to be talking about this. We got to be educating. And that's my main role, is being out there and educating lawyers, educating clients, educating everybody that'll listen, that there is a better way. And when there's a better way, entrepreneurship helps more people, because when the business owners aren't distracting themselves doing the things I just talked about, because they have secured their profit, because they have secured their compensation, they can continue to grow that business into what it was meant to be and to help the people it was meant to help.
Now, going back to the what is the revenue stream that this can create for the firm? So you said that a good number to run with is $500 a month. But
Yeah.
it sounds like, I mean, if I'm meeting with them once a quarter and we're doing a touch base once a month and checking in with the PFPs, the bookkeeper, the accountant, sounds like it might be a lot of work for, the return that's coming into the firm. And if I look at it another way, if I want to add, a revenue stream to the firm, $500 a month, I need to add 100 of these to bring in a $50,000 a month revenue stream to the firm.
Yeah.
So,
So
is there?
let me break it down for you.
Yeah.
Because that was my first question. Like when I was thinking about, should we do this, right? And the first thing that we recommend, so that we can get law firms off the ground, is that they work with their most of them have a pool of clients right now who aren't doing this, who could be better clients for them if they did this. And so work with your current clients. Let's just talk, you said 100, let's just say you go 50. And if you don't have 50 current clients, then the next pool is you go to your former clients who already know you, like you, and trust you, but you're just not doing anything for them right now. Get 50. That's $6,000 a year. That's a $300,000 a year practice area. Now let's understand that the average take home for a solo and small firm lawyer, the median, let me just be really clear, the median take home for solo small firm lawyers in the United States is $49,100. Averages are all over the map because the data is not good. But averages that I've seen that I think are fairly reliable are between $75,000 and about $95,000 a year. So $300,000 moves the needle. But to your question about, revenues are revenues, so what? Since we're talking about cash flow, we modeled very carefully the costs of doing this. We added up all the hours that it would take for the lawyer and all the hours it would take for someone on the lawyer's staff or an outsourced person to provide the service. And when all that is taken into account and the fees that, this isn't free, that you pay me, and everything all in, the gross profit is $251,000. So that's cash in the pocket. One lawyer can handle 100 profit first clients if that's all they do. So, a lot of the law firms that we're working with are actually hiring a lawyer just to do this, or splitting it among two. One admin who's checking those monthly, remember, we're relying on the bookkeeper and the accountant. We're not being the bookkeeper and the accountant, but so who's checking in with the bookkeeper and the accountant, getting the thumbs up on 80% of the clients. That's the number that's showing up right now, and getting the thumbs down on 20% of the clients and having to escalate, can handle about 200. If that's, again, all they do. So with those numbers, the numbers come in at about $251,000 in gross profit. And then you have to take marketing, et cetera, off the top. But if you're going after your current and former clients at first, the marketing dollars are pretty small. They'll get higher on the back end, but of course there's other fixed costs that don't get higher, right? The fees to me don't get any higher. For instance, a lot of the other fixed costs go down as you grow from 50 to 100. And then so you've got at 100, you got $600,000 in revenue, but maybe, we haven't modeled that, but I'd say that probably the cost of goods sold are going to be such that you're getting a gross profit closer to 260, 270 on those, on that second cohort.
Okay. So it sounds like the way that you've laid it out, it sounds like this could definitely be something that could be added as a significant revenue stream to a law firm. But it also sounds like there's a certain amount of expertise required to implement this properly. So my guess is that if somebody's thinking of doing this and just kind of dabbling in it and seeing if they can get a handful of clients, that's probably not the way to go, right?
I think you shouldn't do this if you're not committed to getting the first 50, right? And we don't say 50 in a month, but 50 by the end of the first year, because that's where it all starts to make sense. Because before that, then you've got, like you said, you don't want someone dabbling. You want someone focused on this at least a significant part time. We provide a training in the beginning to get the lawyer and whoever on the team is going to be up and running, including the staff person. We provide outsourced admin services if they want it, or we also have some outsourced that we can recommend. But and then we have ongoing education for the lawyers. But you're absolutely right. If you're not committed to adding $300,000 as in a new practice area of your business, then it's not worth it. My fees won't be worth it, and it's not worth the investment of your time and energy to dabble in this. So no, I don't recommend any lawyers dabble in this. This is serious business, but which I think segues into something that I didn't make explicitly clear, but I think is important. I think, and so far, again, we've been in business for 8 months, but so far the data is proving this hypothesis correct. The revenues that the lawyer earns for doing the profit first for lawyers work are dwarfed by the additional business the lawyers get from their clients. Why? Well, in having a deep dive vision meeting with your clients, in having quarterly course correction deep dive phone calls, so we're talking a couple hours each with your clients, lawyers are discovering more problems, more opportunities, not just for themselves, but for others. And so they're able to, get some more business for the firm. Hey, you know what? If we could secure this intellectual property. Oh, based on where you're going, maybe you want to acquire this business. Oh, based on this, maybe we want to, help you get an employment. Whatever it is, we will, gives the lawyers more things to do to help the business grow. The business owners are happy because it's helping the business grow, and they're becoming better, more lucrative, more profitable, less problems. Client attorney problems, clients. They're becoming clients through this process. And for the stuff the lawyers can't do, they refer it, right? Oh, you've got an accounting problem. Let me bring in your either your accountant or this accountant who handles that. You've got a good CPA, but we need a management, whatever it is, or we have a bookkeeping problem. We have a building problem. Let's bring in this contractor, whatever it is. And then, of course, when the lawyer refers that business out, law of reciprocity usually brings more referrals back into the business. So there's a large halo effect that we estimated at first would be about equal to the fees that you would earn in Profit First. So for every $300,000 of business you do in Profit First as a Profit First lawyer, you'd get another $300,000 in ancillary. If anything, it's looking like we undershot that number. But I think it's a really important aspect of doing this. Is it aligns the lawyer's interests so much better with their clients, and it just enhances the relationship both ways.
Yeah, it's just very hard to measure accurately because you don't necessarily know where something came from. But I guess you can see if your business suddenly starts picking up and you didn't change anything else, you can kind of attribute that to what's happening. This is all fascinating. It's so fascinating. And even for me, folks, I didn't enter this conversation understanding exactly what Christopher was doing with Profit First for Lawyers. So just want to put that out there. I think this is amazing. And I'm a big believer in Profit First. I'm a big believer in having a cash management system for your business. And I think that you have the ability, if you can introduce this into your clients' lives, to literally change their lives, because it has the ability to move them from being so cash tight at home and having no time and not spending time with their family to the point where they either want to commit suicide or give up the business, right? One of those two is on the table. And this has the ability to completely flip a business around and give them their time back, and also make them very, very rich, because the business is there. It just needs to be, they need to understand the cash of the business. And sometimes it's just a matter of funneling the money through the right accounts. So you have a lot of opportunity and a lot of power to change people's lives. And to what Christopher was saying, forget the halo effect. Imagine how you will acquire a customer for life if you made that kind of impact on them. So up until now, you were their attorney who they could very easily leave and go to another attorney. But now you're their business advisor and somebody who's completely changed their lives. Where does that put you? So yeah, this is phenomenal, and I hope it resonates with some of you and it fits, and I want to hear back, and that some people have gone on and become profit first attorneys, and added this practice area. I'm very intrigued to see what you do with it.
Yeah, I hope they do. Like, literally, what you just said is so true about being, like the client for life. And like, we actually want people to come to the lawyers when their swimming pool is leaking. It's just like, just call me. Will I know everything about your business, everything about your life? I'll find you the right person. Don't be afraid to call. We'll get it hooked up. We'll get you connected with the people you ought to be connected with, to continue to move forward. It's entrepreneurs helping entrepreneurs, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah. I mean, I have a client like that. I have a client who he says that I'm his financial daddy. He calls me for permission to spend his money. And it's great because he came to me with a $50,000 IRS debt.
Wow.
And every year he was just expounding on the problem because he was making his monthly payments on what he owed, but he wasn't putting away money for that year. So the longer that he went, the bigger the problem got. And we've made a serious dent in that, and we stopped the bleeding. He's current on his taxes for this year, and he's been aggressively paying back taxes that he owed, and he was able to do that all along. It's just a matter of having the right system there. So it's amazing what this can do. Christopher, can you share with our listeners how they can learn more about you, about the program, and if they're interested in doing this, where
Yeah.
do they go? Where do they go?
Let me give a few resources. Obviously, the easiest one is profitfirstlawyers.com. That's our website. Once you're there, you can click on the Get Started button. There's a video where I explain a lot of the stuff I explained on here, probably a little bit more coherently because I practiced it first. That's one place. Another place where we kind of I share thoughts, current videos, explanations, answer questions on an interactive basis is our Facebook group, or Facebook page, I think is the technical word for that. It's Profit First for Lawyers on Facebook. They can also, of course, follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Christopher Anderson on Facebook, or Law Firm Business at Law Firm Business on Twitter. I had to think about that for a second. But yeah, those are the great ways. But I think, Facebook and or the webpage. And of course, on the website, you can book a call with me. I will answer any question you've got. As you elucidated during this interview, this is all about education. And to me, I believe a successful call with someone is when they walk away with something of value. Whether or not they do business with me is secondary. I want them to walk away from that conversation knowing something they didn't know before, thinking about something in a different way, and I'm happy to talk to anybody to get them there.
Yeah, and I just want to close out with one thought, and that is if I could throw another Mike Michalowicz book into the conversation. Mike wrote a book called The Pumpkin Plan, and The Pumpkin Plan is so eloquently describes how you have 80% of your clients are your problem clients, 20% are the ones that are producing 80% of the results in your business, the 80-20
Yep.
rule. And what he goes through in that book is to encourage you to eliminate the clients that are really costing you psychologically, costing your time, costing you money. To work with the ones that are the ideal clients, the ones that are really going to do what you tell them to do. They're not going to give you problems. They're going to pay their bills on time. And if that sounds like a dream, this opportunity, this Profit First for Lawyers, is going to just make that easier
It
because
does.
the ones who raise their hand and say, hey, I need help me with implementing Profit First, and now you're working with them there, they're going to be, those are the ones that that are going to rise to the top. Those are the ones that you want to work with, that you want to establish that long-term relationship. And that'll allow you to eliminate all those headaches that you're afraid to say goodbye to because you don't know what you're going to do without the revenue stream that they create. But
Yeah,
this will more than replace that.
that's a really great point. Yeah, working with fewer, better clients is an amazing thing.
So, Christopher, thank you so much for your time, and this was a wonderful interview, very informative for me. So I'm sure it'll be informative for the people who are listening to it. We'll link up all of those places where you can find Christopher in the show notes, and in the details of this episode in your podcast player. There's a link to the show notes because I'm not sure what episode this will be, but it's profitwithlaw.com/ and then the episode number, so 0 and then the 2 digits following it. So again, thank you so much for your time, and I appreciate you joining us here.
It was absolutely my pleasure. I enjoyed it, and I look forward to meeting you again soon. You take care.
Same here. This week's episode of the Profit with Law podcast has ended, but your growth journey doesn't have to stop here. Head over to profitwithlaw.com/grow, where you can download the Firm Differentiator 10X System Toolkit entirely free. In this toolkit, I share the details of my system being used to grow firms to extreme profitability. That's profitwithlaw.com/grow. Until the next time, remember, a law practice is not for practice, it's for profit.